Hello and welcome to episode 33 of the Sandeman podcast, a podcast about Dundee and Dundee United from fans of both clubs. I'm Andrew and as always I'm joined by my regular co-host Jack. Jack, since Martin always asks, how are you this week?
Good mate, how are you?
Well, full of the cold, but we will soldier on and get ourselves through this. There's plenty to talk about as always, but we'll quickly divert to our social media platforms before we get into that. On Twitter or X, we are at SandemanSTPod. On Instagram, we are at The Sandeman Street Pod. And on YouTube, we are at The Sandeman Street Podcast. So if you haven't already visited us on any of them platforms, we'd be really grateful if you could do that. Give us a follow and boost engagement. That would be really, really nice, and as I said, very much appreciated. But we'll move on to the proper stuff, the football stuff. So, Jack, after yet another call off at Tannadice with obviously all the rain and whatever we've had, it was nice that United got back onto the football pitch, and their first win in a while. They beat in-form Falkirk 3-2 at the Falkirk Stadium. So, what did you make of that?
Yeah mate, good to actually got on the pitch again after a few weeks. Obviously the rain has been torrential for a wee while now. Not torrential as such, more just constant. But yeah, get on a plastic pitch, game was guaranteed basically to be on, and thankfully it was, up against a good Falkirk team. I think they were 14 points clear of us before the game kicked off, which is crazy to think about. And United have managed to go there and get the win. I think it was probably against the run of play. United conceded quite a few chances, what it seemed like anyway. I think both goals were conceded were sloppy, poor defending, especially the second one. Balls played in out from out wide. None of the defenders challenged for it. The keeper doesn't come out to claim for it. Nobody's speaking to each other, and the Falkirk boy gets through and just taps it in. As for our attacking display, benefited from Scott Bain error for Ross Graham just to tap it in. A good finish from Craig Sibbald, and then Julius Eskison to I think get his first goal for the club to get the winner in the 81st minute. So yeah, all in all, obviously always good to get a win, especially when you've not played in a while, and when you have played you've been poor. So yeah, 3 points on the board, clawed back to 11 points off Falkirk, and who knows, maybe get a wee run going.
I was just watching the highlights not long before we started, and the first goal that United conceded, as you say, was pretty poor. Like, obviously they got themselves back into the game fairly quickly from a catalogue of errors, shall we say, from Falkirk. You know, obviously the clearance goes up in the air, not really what the boy wants to do, and then Scott Bain drops it. But yeah, that is a big 3 points for United, isn't it? Especially because, as you say, their ambition will be now to get themselves into the top six, however they can do that. And obviously that result helps that cause, doesn't it?
Yeah, of course. We're always going to be aiming for that top six spot. We're arguably the sixth biggest club in the country, and that should always be the target, is minimum top six. Obviously, with other clubs playing well this season, like Falkirk and Motherwell, it's going to make it a bit more of a challenge. And obviously, Aberdeen are there, Hibs are there as well, in and around us. So it's that's always going to be the aim. It's going to be difficult, especially this year. But who knows, if we can get a wee run going, despite who we've got this weekend, who I'm doubtful about. If we can get a run going, then there's no reason why we can't try and put a bit of pressure on Falkirk, and hopefully they fall away a wee bit and we can catch up.
And obviously going into the second half, another bit of poor defending from United. I mean, obviously the second Falkirk goal is a good finish from the Falkirk player, but kind of ghosting at the back post, totally unmarked. It's not great. You then move on to the second United goal, obviously the second equaliser for United. Kind of a daisy cutter, isn't it? Scott Bain takes about a fortnight to get down. Maybe that was an injury that he picked up on midweek before we played us, we missed that game. Before United scored their winner, Liam Henderson of Falkirk got sent off. Well, I was wondering what you thought of that. Obviously, initially was a yellow card, but the referee was sent to the monitor to send them off, and I actually think it was quite a harsh decision personally, but I was wondering what your thoughts were on it.
I think if you look at the angle when it's facing down the length of the pitch, Scott Bain's miles off his line, mate. He's outside the box when he gets tackled, when Waters gets tackled. All Waters has to do is take one more touch, mate, and he's got a chance at shooting on goal. Got a chance to dink the keeper, and obviously that is a goal scoring opportunity. Where it is on the pitch, I can totally see how it's deemed harsh. But from that angle, you look at Scott Bain is well off his line, and there is definitely the opportunity for Waters to take a shot early and beat the keeper. So I think maybe that's what they've called it back on. It could be seen as a sporting foul, probably is, but like you say, there is a goal scoring chance there. So I can see why they've given it, but I can also see why there's criticism about the red card.
No, I totally understand that, and obviously you're absolutely correct in saying that it could be given as denying a goal scoring opportunity because of the position of the goalkeeper. I think if you watch it again, and I don't know if you'll agree with me on this, his touch is fairly heavy, and I don't know if maybe the right back or the right centre half or whatever can get rimmed and maybe challenge him when he gets to the ball. I think Waters would probably be favourite to get to the ball, but I think the covering defender's close enough where he would probably get there without Waters being able to take a clean strike or take a touch and set himself without feeling any pressure to hit a shot from that distance that's going to go in. But no, I could see it from both ways type thing, and when the directive from VAR is only intervene if it's clear and obvious, I don't think that that's clear and obvious. I know we'll have this discussion fairly regularly. Is that fair? Is that clear and obvious? I wouldn't say so.
No, I wouldn't consider it clear and obvious. Like you say, we mention this basically every week about whether VAR should intervene or not. And then I bring it back to the case of, do you bring in like a tennis system where you challenge it and then you let that play go? Like, for instance, you're saying there that the Falkirk defender could probably get there. Surely that's, in that instance, with a challenge system, it allows the play to continue. And then, obviously, the foul has been committed, fairs. But if the United, for instance, are unhappy with the yellow, then they can challenge it and go, well, we think it's a red card. We think it's a goal score opportunity. Then it goes to VAR. I think that's the fairest way about it. But obviously that's not the case. And so it is unfortunate for Falkirk. Ultimately, it's lost them the game. United have benefited from it. And ultimately, that's all we can say about it because it's happened and they can't change it now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. It'd be interesting if that was what was happening in terms of what you're saying about challenging decisions, and obviously they'd be limited to 2 or 3 per half or 2 or 3 per match or whatever. It would be interesting to see if that was what was happening, that United would do in that instance. It would be interesting to see if they would use a challenge on that, because obviously every team's now got somebody sitting on their bench with their iPad or laptop or whatever watching the match. They're sitting there going, is it worth a challenge when you can see this covering defender coming round? Now obviously we know the answer to what the referees in VAR would do because we've seen the answer take place. They've went to the screen and decided that between them all that, yeah, actually we've made a mistake giving that as a yellow, it's actually a red. So we know that that's what they would do. They would give that as a red card. But I think it's interesting to see what United would do. Obviously, we're never going to know that answer. And United would maybe come out and say, no, we think it is a red card, so maybe you would know the answer. But it would be interesting to see what they would do in the heat of the battle, if you know what I'm saying. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. to be honest with you, because it's not the
No,
rules.
yeah, exactly.
But moving on, United obviously end up with the fifth goal of the match to win 3-2. Am I right in the boy Eska saying it was a tidy finish? Am I right in saying that he was one of the players that was actually on his way out in January?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I think he was in talks with a Greek club, and that fell through. I don't know if they're still interested in him. I don't know if the windows are shut now or what, but I think Norway might still be open because it's the start of their season, so they could still be open. He can move back there. He joined us, I think, from a Norwegian club, so that move could still be on for him. It was, like I say, it was good to see him scoring despite maybe being on the fringes and having the chance to leave the club. And he seemed to enjoy it as well. He looked delighted to have scored, so that was good to see.
Yeah, definitely. So is that United within about 10 points of Falkirk now? I think it actually might be a 9.
I think it's 11, no?
Are you sure? I'm pretty sure it's less than that because
Is it?
we were looking at the league table before Dundee played there during the week last week, and it was.
It's 11.
Is it 11? Because
Yeah.
we were, yeah, because right enough, because they won against us. I'm thinking about it before we played them because we're 3 points behind you now, 6. Yeah, right, okay. So it's 11 points. United will have games in hand. Maybe I
What?
reckon 2 games in hand.
Yeah, 2 in hand over Falkirk.
Yeah, so 2 games in hand, you win it. That's down to what? 5
Well,
points.
5 points.
You've not got to play them again, so that's a factor. But it's still there's an outside chance. Put it that way.
Yeah, of course. There's always a chance until mathematically it's impossible.
What do you reckon?
I don't think we will, mate. I think we've been poor, mate. We've won 6 games all season, so
Yeah, they're not exactly giving off the impression that they could go on the consistent run like that.
but exactly 6 games all season and 25 games, mate, in the league's very poor.
Yeah,
I don't see us gaining another 6 wins for the rest of the season, to be honest.
no, and especially when you've got so many games in quite a short space of time, given call-offs and whatnot, and obviously that can't be helped because of how bad the weather's been. So it's a tricky one, but I mean it's definitely possible. I'm not sitting here for a second and saying it's not. But it's going to be a tough ask. Judging on the boy Ogren, I don't know what he would be happier with because if he finishes in the bottom 6, he gets another Dundee Derby gate.
Yeah, very true. Yeah, true. I think in that instance, I think you've got to prioritise the cup. You know the season's basically over with. So do you maybe sacrifice a couple of league games, and as long as you know that you're safe, and try and focus on the cup instead, get some silverware, despite the chances of us actually doing it are slim.
You are playing Spartans tomorrow night. We're recording on Monday.
Yeah.
Should that go ahead? I doubt it won't because the rain has eased off quite a bit since last week. You've got that. You then play Falkirk away in 2 or 3 weeks' time. Now, 2 or 3 weeks' time in the league gives you quite a good, and it will give you quite a good indication on how likely your chances are. You obviously could close the gap, and it's well on for the top 6. It could stay the same, and it'll look like you'll run out of games, or it could get bigger, and it's probably just not going to happen. So, when you get to that Falkirk game, that I would say you maybe the game before it, you'll probably have a wee bit of an indicator on where you're going to be. You maybe drop a few boys because I'm not being funny. You've got a pretty good run to Hampden. I mean, who did you have in the last round? Ayr United at Tannadice, a league below. You're playing Spartans tomorrow night.
And then Falkirk.
It's not out with the realms of possibility that Spartans could win, but I very, very much doubt it. It's a 1 in 50 chance, in my opinion. And then you're away to Falkirk, who you've just beaten. Now, I know that Falkirk are having a good season. You've beaten Falkirk twice this season, not lost. You did take a bit of a pump in at Tannadice, but you've beaten Falkirk twice and not lost. So obviously Celtic and Rangers are still in the draw. A lot of the other big teams are out, but Celtic and Rangers are still in the draw, and Motherwell. Getting Falkirk is a good draw at this stage of the competition, regardless of whether or not Falkirk are having a good season.
Yeah,
So
that's
you
true.
get that game and you win. You're at Hampden. Celtic have drawn Rangers, so one of them is going out.
Hmm.
You've got nae Hearts, you've got nae Hibs. Motherwell have got Aberdeen at Pittodrie. I don't even think that's been played yet. I think they're still in the same round as you.
Mm.
So who Motherwell or Aberdeen got if they get through to the next round?
I'm not sure.
So I mean, one of them's going out.
Yeah,
So one of them plays Dunfermline.
yeah, that's right.
So Aberdeen are at home. Now I know that Motherwell have been very good and Aberdeen haven't, but Aberdeen are at home, so you could argue a case for Aberdeen to win that match. If Motherwell go through, they'll probably take care of Dunfermline. So you've got Rangers or Celtic, you've got Motherwell, you've got you guys or Falkirk, and then whoever the other tie is.
Yeah,
That you're right in the mix then. And
yeah, that's true.
I'm not being funny. You have played Celtic. You didn't think you have lost to Rangers this season. You have beat Celtic. Celtic and Rangers aren't exactly flying either of them. So that's how I was so disappointed about the Dundee situation. Now, if Dundee had went through with obviously the game against Celtic, our curse in the draw, we would have been the same number as Celtic and we would have drawn Rangers at Ibrox, so we probably would have went out. But this was an absolutely perfect season to be in the mix because of all the teams that have went out so early.
Mm.
So yeah, it's right in the mixer for that, I reckon. Prioritising it, Jim Goodwin's never going to admit that, is he?
No, he's not. But I think you can you could probably judge it based off of how he cares for the games like prior to Falkirk if we get through. So, like you say, if we see that the gap's not closing or we're falling further behind, you'll see that he'll have a rotated squad maybe the week before Falkirk in the cup, and then you'll know by then that okay, league's over. We'll prioritise the cup and maybe get some silverware.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway, nothing about United. We've talked about it for far too long. We'll talk about some doom and gloom now. Because if you were to say to me at the 90th minute when the fourth official was hanging up his board at Celtic Park a week past Saturday how I was feeling about Dundee's season, it would have been sunshine and rainbows. And it's amazing what 7 minutes of injury time, half an hour of extra time, and 2 league games after that can make you change your opinion. Because it's went from sunshine and rainbows to fuck Kilmarnock are right behind us again. Um, yeah, we'll briefly talk on our game against Falkirk, and it's so difficult to look at it from. It's probably better when you're a journalist or a sports writer or whatever, and you're there without allegiance to either team, and all you're doing is there to report on the match. They're probably the best people to ask what their opinions are now. I know that unbiased sports reporters and pundits isn't exactly what Scottish football's famous for, but there will be some out there. I don't think either team at the Falkirk Dundee game deserved to lose the match. I certainly don't think we deserved to lose. I don't think either team deserved to lose. I think a draw was more than fair. But it comes down to small moments. They take their chance, and when they take their chance, I mean John McCracken flogs the ball into the net and we miss our penalty. Now, I'm not going to kind of hang about on this game for too much. And maybe flogging's not the right word, but he's got a bit of a habit of if anything gets put at him straight at him, it tends to go through him. And I think a better goalkeeper saves that Falkirk attempt. He doesn't, it goes in. And then, to the mystery of quite a lot of people, the referee doesn't give Dundee a penalty in injury time. He's then sent to the monitor and gives the penalty. I think it's one of them ones where he's not given it for 2 reasons. One, because he knows he's got a safety net. in VAR, and two, he's a big shite bag because it's an injury time and he doesn't want to be controversial. Now, I don't know if you've seen the highlights of that game last week against Falkirk.
No, I've never seen the highlights of the Falkirk game. No.
So I'm not going to dwell on the penalty decision. At the time, I thought it was a Stonewaller. Having seen the highlights of maybe Stonewaller's probably a bit too strong, but it's a penalty, and the referee had a great view of it and didn't give it, which baffled me. Absolutely baffled me. And then obviously he does give it from VAR, but should never have needed to have got to that stage. But then Jan Vanda decides that he wants to miss the target completely. And I'm always of the opinion, when you get a penalty late into a match, especially in injury time, that you lace the ball down the middle. Like, the goalie has to dive. The goalie is 99 times out of 100 going to dive, because if he stands in the middle and somebody just sidefoots the ball 3 or 4 yards past him in either direction, he's getting criticised for not diving and taking a risk. So he is going to dive, and you just have to put the bar right through the middle of the goal. But people can miss penalties. I think it's a bit more forgivable when the keeper saves it, but he put it wide and we'll lose that match, in a match that, as I said earlier, I don't think we deserve to lose. Move on to the weekend. We're playing Livingston, who haven't won a match in forever. 2-0 up within 5 minutes. You're sitting there thinking to yourself, oh, it's Rosie in the garden again, brilliant. And within 15 minutes, it's 2-2. So we'll touch on that. Simon Murray, 18 matches without a goal, gets 2 goals within the first 5 minutes. And I seen somebody on Twitter saying that Simon Murray runs faster and with more intensity when he scores a goal than when he's actually chasing players down or whatever. And I find that very hard to disagree with, to be honest.
He's no wrong.
Yeah, he looked like he was full of relief. 2 good finishes from him, actually. Strikers' goals. 2 shocking bits of defending from Dundee. The first one comes from Ethan Hamilton losing the ball high up the pitch. He's 15-20 yards inside Livingston's half. They break right up the pitch and the boy Smith scores. I really do like the boy Smith, actually. I've been impressed with him every time I've seen him this season. And then the disaster of all disasters on John McCracken. Jack,
terrible, mate.
I'm sick of him, Jack.
Yeah.
I come on here every week, or not every week, but I come on here after he's made a bit of a poor mistake or whatever, and I try my best to not sit here and absolutely bash him. And I'm not going to do that now, but someone's got to give it. You can't continue. This is why he got dropped last season, because he was continuing to make mistake after mistake after mistake. Now, body language, when I played, and I played any sort of level, I played Sunday League football in a public park, but body language was always something that I was a victim of, because people used to have this conception of me that I didn't care, and it was because of the body language that I give off, and it's just my body language, and there was nothing I could really do about it. But I did care, I wanted to win, but I just didn't look like it did to some people. That is the same with McCracken. A lot of people think that he's arrogant. Now, he may not well be arrogant, that might just be him as a person, but I think that what annoys people who think that he is arrogant is that he's making all these mistakes, yet he's acting like that. And as I say, that might just be him. So I'm not coming on here with that opinion. What I will say about him, though, is that he makes far too many mistakes to justify playing for us in the Premier League. And you've got a boy sitting on the bench who played 20 games in the Premier League for Kilmarnock last season, so he can't be that bad. He's capped for Northern Ireland. Get him in the team. Now, I've spoken till I was blue in the face about Trevor Carson. That's not going to happen now. He's probably going to retire at the end of the season. He's, 38, 39 years old. At the start of the season, I would have kept him as my number one. That's not happened. That argument's gone. There's no point in speaking about that just now. We'll have got a boy on the bench who is obviously no mug. I don't understand how he's never been given an opportunity. Like, he didn't even get a game in the Cup game when we played Kilmarnock in the Scottish Cup, and then obviously moved on to the Celtic game. If he comes in and he's absolutely hopeless, by all means put McCracken in, but in my opinion he needs to spell out the team. he's having too many of them, too regular. And the one on Saturday was a howler, like a standout howler. He gets caught dilly-dallying on the ball. I think what a lot of people don't seem to pick up on it when they're not watching him near enough in every single match. Like, I tend to watch Dundee every week. I've missed about 3 games this season. A lot of the ones that you see are glaringly obvious, but they're just like the stuff goes through him that wouldn't go through other goalies.
Yeah, he is
And
prone to a mistake. Like,
yeah, and it's like the one at Falkirk on Wednesday last week. I mean, just put a foot out and block it. And the other thing that frustrates me is that if a player has a shot on an angle for close in or from the edge of the box or whatever, that you see the amount of times that he parries it through the middle of the box. And we get away with that very regularly. But there will be times where we do not get away with that, and somebody will tap in the rebound. Now, I've never been a goalie in my life. I have never had a goalkeeper talk to me about being a goalie, but there's been snippets of ex-goalies on whatever that I've listened to. And what's one of the things that they tell you? Parry it away for the bloody goal, if you can. And he doesn't seem to do that, and it's very, very infuriating, to be honest with you. I don't know what your thoughts are about the game on Saturday.
yeah, obviously it's not ideal for you to lose your 2-0 lead. I think that's every game this season so far against Livi. You've been 2-0 up and drew with them. It seems to be a reoccurring theme. I thought Dundee looked, obviously the first 5 minutes looked pretty good. After that, they seemed to sit back and not be really, didn't seem to create as many chances as what they have been in the last few weeks. Looking at the highlights, there wasn't anything really clear cut. And so I think, looking at the highlights anyway, the draw was probably the fair result. As for McCracken, it's an absolute howler, mate. He seems to make mistakes very often. Every now and again, he'll have a game where he's been solid and he's not made any mistakes, but they're once in a blue moon, and I think you're right. I think he needs to get dropped. Like you say, you've got a Northern Ireland international as backup. Why not give him a chance? Because McCracken and his mistakes are costing you points, costing you goals.
It's not like you're bringing in like a youth goalie.
No,
like if
exactly.
I had nobody else on the bench, then you would just stick with him. You've went out your way when we've already got Harry Sharp in the building who, I mean, he's never going to be a Premier League goalie in my opinion, but he's steady enough goalie to have as a backup goalie when your goalie isn't injury prone or whatever, so he's likely to play the whole season. Now, they went out their way to go and sign him after they let Trevor Carson go out on loan.
Mm-hmm.
And I just didn't see the point in him being there, taking a wage that could have been used for somebody else, when your first team goalie is having that many mistakes that lead to goals. Now, yeah, goalies are in a position where if they make a mistake, it probably will lead to a goal. And midfielders are a bit different, a striker, etc., etc. But that's the way the cookie crumbles when you're a goalie. Like that's just the consequences of the position you play, and it can't be doing his confidence any good when everybody in the stadium is a bag of jaggies every time he gets the ball, because after it happened, he didn't start hoofing the ball first time. He was doing the same thing again. Now that shows that he's got a belief in himself, and that's good, but it can't be helping him when you hear the crowd getting anxious when he has the ball at his feet. I know that people keep saying to me that he's great with the ball at his feet in terms of like, kicking the ball far to the pitch. Jack, he kicks the ball out the pitch almost every time he does it. Like, a football pitch is a big area of grass. I can't understand how, from a goal kick or from a central position, people manage to kick the ball out the park on a regular basis. Now,
just kick it in the middle, mate.
Well, if you're going to kick it down the middle under centre halves, and I understand that you're wanting to get the ball wide and stuff, but See 15 years ago when Dundee had Craig Forsyth playing left midfield, and he was really a left back, and he actually played centre half, and he was really good in the air. And Rab Douglas, because he was injured, used to get the ball and throw the ball up to the halfway line, and Craig Forsyth would win the header. Then I understand kicking the ball or throwing the ball or whatever to a wide position, because you're making first contact, and then your strikers are on it, or your centre midfielders are on it, or whatever. But our wingers that we're playing with at the moment are Yagan and Congreve. Neither of them ever win a header.
Mm-hmm.
And we push the full-backs up. That's Dre Wright and Halliday. And neither of them ever win a header. So I didn't get it. There's absolutely no point in kicking the ball out wide. And we continuously do it. There was actually a spell of 5 minutes at Parkhead the other week where he kicked the ball out 3 times in 5 minutes. 3 goal kicks or 3 kicks in a row, he kicked the ball out. And then, to top it all off, when we're chasing a goal in extra time, he takes a throw in and gives away a foul throw. Now, I know that that's not a pure, massive goalkeeping mistake, but how any professional football player can take a foul throw is beyond me. Get the ball, put it behind your head and throw it. How hard is that? Right, honestly. I know that before I've said this, and I've said this earlier, I hate coming on here and bashing players and like slaughtering them and whatever, because they're on there to do their best and they're far better than I'll ever be. So who am I to say anything? But it frustrates the life out of me, when you've got potentially better alternatives and they don't seem to be getting a game. With the game on Saturday, Presley actually said afterwards that he regretted, or he should have, freshened up his team. They played the same starting 11 3 games in a row, and to be honest with you, you could tell by halfway through the first half that some of them were dead on their feet. Tony Yagan was gubbed. He got subbed at half time. Danda looked tired. He was subbed at half time. Halliday went off in the first half injured, and then I think they used all 5 subbies. But yeah, 2-2 draw, disappointing when you're playing a team like Livingston who haven't won a game for a long time and you're at home and whatever. I wanted something, but this is totally unrelated, right? It's related a wee bit. The game last week at Celtic Park, both teams ended up being eligible to use 7 subs. So you get your 5 in normal time, you get your 1 in extra time, and Celtic used a concussion sub.
Right.
Kieran Tierney went off with concussion, and he was playing last night. I don't know what your thoughts are on that, but he got kicked in the nose. Now it
looked like a jaw kick to me.
Well, I'm the head expert, right? I'm not an expert in anything, but head injuries is certainly not something I'm an expert in. So I'll be able to get a concussion if you get a slight kick to the nose, right? But surely when you're bringing in a policy where you're allowed an extra substitute for concussion reasons, and you're declaring that as a concussion sub, and obviously the rules are that he then has to miss a week.
Yeah.
Why is he then playing 3 days later?
Well, that's a very good point, mate. I can't tell you. I'm not a medic either. I don't know what the rules are. I don't know whether they see an independent doctor who says, "Oh, yeah, that's concussion" or not. That should probably be in the rules. Obviously, it's not, so there's no point in discussing it. But yeah, it's not exactly, doesn't come across well when a boy's been taken off for a so-called concussion injury and then he's playing 3 days later.
Yeah, very, very strange. Anyway, we'll move on. So, score predictions challenge. We both went into game week 20 and game week 21 with 17 points each. We'll leave game week 21 with 17 points each. So, United against Aberdeen was postponed, so 0 points there. The Dundee against Falkirk game, we both went 1-1. It was 1-0 Falkirk, so 0 points. Dundee versus Livingston, 2-2 draw. I went 3-1 Dundee, you went 3-0 Dundee, 0 points. Falkirk versus Dundee United, I went 2-1 Falkirk, you went 4-1 Falkirk. Finished 3-2 to United, so 0 points. So, not great, Jack.
Poor, mate. This must be the worst week we've had yet.
I think it is. And what I laugh about it is that comes off the back of when we were at that party last week, and somebody said to us that you were really good at picking results.
Yeah, I know.
They have jinxed you.
They have. I'm going to get no points the rest of the season.
Anyway, we'll have a quick cover of the rest of the card over the weekend in the Premiership. So on Saturday, Dundee 2, Livingston 2, Falkirk 2, Dundee United 3, Hibernian 2, St Mirren 0. And then on the Sunday, some game at Rugby Park, it was Kilmarnock 2, Celtic 3, Motherwell 2, Aberdeen 0, and Rangers 4, Hearts 2 in the big game of the day. I don't know if you've seen any of them, Jack. You got a bit of a glimpse into Neil McCann's personality after that match, where he was absolutely raging about all sorts of stuff. Now, if I was him, I'd be raging at some of the defending from his team, because the second goal especially was pretty amateur. The third goal, the boys runs into the back of the box, totally unmarked, and finishes it off. Now, I know that it's unrelenting against Celtic and whatever. Last week, I did say I was one of the very, 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 very small minority of people who didn't have an issue with the time of Celtic's goal, because there was injury time given, there was an injury time, whatever. Celtic scored in it. That's just how it is. The thing that I said at the time was, what frustrates me the most, or what's annoying about it, is probably the right word, is that Celtic always get that goal when they need it, whereas Dundee don't get that goal when they need it. And nothing could confirm a point more than Tuesday night or Wednesday night. Celtic are 1-1 at home to Livingston. Dundee are 1-0 down away at Falkirk. Celtic score a winner. Dundee get a penalty and miss it. And then we move on to Sunday's game yesterday. Celtic are 2-0 down at half time. They get themselves back level with 20 minutes to go, whatever. They score with the last kick of the ball with 5-10 seconds left. Now, Neil McCann was crying about the injury time that was added. I think it was 7 minutes. And Chris Sutton actually said at the beginning of injury time, he goes, there could have been more there. And he's absolutely right. The referees just pick a number out of thin air, in my opinion, and go, that sounds about right. I think there was at least two Kilmarnock players down injured. The boy John Jules was down injured in the second half. Was the goalie down injured as well, maybe? And there was eight subbies or something like that. So 7 minutes is actually fair. I think the argument was for 8 or 9 would have been suffice, but 7 minutes was what was added, and Celtic scored within the 7 minutes. So yeah, as annoying as it is that they get that late goal when they need it, as usual, the times are fair. I don't know what your thoughts are on that, or if you've seen any of it or whatever.
I literally seen the goal, mate. I seen the last goal and the celebrations by Arujo. As for Neil McCann, I mean, it just sounds like Sir Plums. He's obviously angry and disappointed that his team's lost their 2-0 lead and dropped all the points. Thinking you're going to get 3 points to walking away with 0 is obviously not a good feeling. And so I think he's trying to push that blame on someone else. I never seen the game outside of that goal, but Celtics do seem to have a knack for scoring late on. If you're giving them the opportunity to gain them minutes, whether that be from boys being down injured, trying to waste some time, making substitutions to kill some time, the time's going to be added on, and you're inviting that chance for Celtic to gain the goal they need to win or to rescue a point. So I don't think he's got anything to stand on, to be honest. I think for added on time, it should be Subs, each sub is 30 seconds added on. Injuries are just for the length of time that the injured player's on the pitch. And then that way, time wasting is not going to be a thing with regards to players going down, pretending they've got cramp or whatever. And they'll stop doing it, ultimately, and then Celtic won't have the chance to have them extra minutes to score the winner. So yeah, sounds like sewer plums to me. But yeah, that's it.
Look, I think we all know what my opinion is on this. I've said it a million times. I'm not going to say it again. What you're saying there is you add on the amount of time the players are injured, whatever. It's a bit like to me, and I don't know if I'm being cheeky to you here, but to me, that sort of thing is like what they're doing with the goalie with the ball in his hands, where they give him 3 seconds when he's first had the ball controlled in his hands, and then they raise their hand and they count down from 5. Now, out of interest over the past few weeks, I've been watching that. The referees give them about 10 seconds before they start doing anything, right? So, rather than doing things like that aren't going to make any difference because the referees interpret it when they want to interpret it, they just fix the problem altogether and just do what I say in terms of the stop clock, the clock stopping. Now, if people come back with the argument of saying, well, if we were doing that, then we would be at football for hours. Move the game down to 70 minutes.
Yeah, fair.
Have 70 minutes of a game, 35 each way, and then you wouldn't be there as long. Now, my argument is you could still stay at 90, but whatever. I just think that football tries this hardest to bring in loads and loads of different things rather than actually just addressing the problem. And you're always going to have controversy when it's one man's opinion on how long things get added. Now, I know that the unwritten rule for subs is 30 seconds. Now, some of the added time that we've had at the end of the season, it mystifies me. Like, we played Hearts in that game where Craig Gordon made that great save. And I'm pretty sure that ref that we had in that game was the same ref that we had at Parkhead. I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it is. At the Hearts game, when Craig Gordon, by the way, has been wasting time at every single goal kick, right? And Dundee were in Hearts half more than Hearts were in Dundee's half that game in the second half because Hearts were down to 10 men. Dundee played well and deserved something at the match. They didn't get what they deserved at the match. That's football. Craig Gordon's wasting loads of time. His team's down at 10 men. Understandable, as frustrating as it is. There's subs in the game. There will have no doubt been players down injured. I'm pretty sure there was at least one injury in the Hearts game. The ref adds 3 minutes. Fast forward to the game at Celtic Park. There's injuries, there's subs, Dundee players are going down. You name it, he adds 5 minutes and plays 6. Now, it's just inconsistent. And there's always going to be inconsistency when it's down to one man's opinion on how long he should add. And I know that they say it's a minimum of, but half the time they blow early. And they don't add... How often do you see things happen in injury time in terms of a throw-in takes 30 seconds to be taken, or a goal kick, or there's a free kick and it takes 50 seconds and they'll add on 25? How often do you see that? So you're never actually ever getting the true amount of time. And I just don't think that's fair. And there was actually the warm-up, I think it's called, where Chris Boyd and Sutton and Naismith, and they do that. They were asked a question and somebody said, should the clock stop? And they were like, oh, these things are just part of the game. So basically now we're allowed to cheat.
We've always been allowed to cheat.
There's aspects of cheating that are allowed in football according to them. It just baffles me. It really does, eh?
What about a scenario where, for like added on time, basically there'll be a big clock. So let's say United's screen, we've got at Tannadice, the big screen with a scoreboard on it. That has the time added on and it counts down. So the ref's got a visual aid to see how long he's got left of the game, how much of that added on time has been played. Every time the ball goes out, if there's a foul or a free kick, the clock stops. And gradually it slows down. That way, you know, okay, the ref looks at it, so, okay, I've got 30 seconds left. As soon as it hits 0, you blow the whistle, regardless of the chance.
Yeah, I didn't mind that because it gives the fans on the ground a visual pointer of where we're at. I mean, I wouldn't even go as technical as that. I would just take the time totally away from the ref and give it to the fourth official. The fourth official speaks to the referee's mic the entire match. So if he's standing on the touchline, not having to pay attention nearly as much as the referee, and as soon as the clock hits 4 minutes of the 94th minute, turn around to the ref and go, time, referee blows, done.
Or take away the point of failure, take away a point of failure, and just give the fourth official a whistle.
Yeah.
So when the fourth whistle blows the whistle, you know it's game over. There's not even that time between the fourth official counting down the time and him giving the information to the referee, because the referee might go, "Oh, I'll just let this play on, and we'll see how this one develops." Where the fourth official can just go, "No, that's time. Whistle, done."
Yeah. Look, mate, we could speak about this until we're blue in the face, but we've obviously got other things we need to cover. I know that one of the last times that United played Kilmarnock this season, you referred to Kilmarnock, and forgive me if I'm wrong with the pronunciation of this word, kryptonite?
Yep.
Well, there's a Dundee double-header, Dundee City done double-header with that this week, because not only are you guys playing Kilmarnock at Tannadice, we're playing Aberdeen at Pittodrie.
Yeah, it could be another rough week for us, I think.
Yeah. It's got Dundee defeat written all over it, just as much as United have got United defeat written all over it. What's your thoughts on that one then? Do you think that...
I actually think Dundee have got a chance, mate.
Do you?
I really do. I really think you've got a chance. I know you've had good patches before, and then you've played Aberdeen and got battered. Start of the season, for example, Aberdeen hadn't won a game all season, hadn't scored a goal, don't think, and then put forward passes. But I think Dundee have got a chance. Aberdeen aren't it this season. Dundee have been on a somewhat decent run. Okay, the last couple of games they've fell off it a wee bit, but I think you've got the ability to get a result there, mate. I really, really do. If you can put pressure on the Aberdeen team, the fans will get on their back dead quick, and the players can't handle that pressure.
Mm-hmm.
So I do think you've got a chance. As for United, obviously I want to be confident in the hopes that we can get a result, but we've not beat Killie in games, mate. We've not beaten Killie in a long time, it feels like. It's always a draw or a defeat, so I think it could be a rough one for us. Killie seem to have picked up slightly recently under Neil McCann. They're only 8 points off of us as well, so it's not as if we're comfortable yet. It's going to be a big game, a lot of pressure. Hopefully we can get the result. I'm not confident, though, I must admit.
The boy John Gill stood out yesterday for Killie, but I think he's done an injury to himself. He's had a lot of bad injuries in his career. I think that's how he got released from Arsenal. He didn't look happy yesterday when he was getting subbed after getting injured. So, I mean, as much as I didn't want to see anyone getting injured, if they're a direct rival to you and they're one of their best players, then I'm all for it.
But yeah, that's true.
As horrible as that does sound, and I wish the boy well, hopefully he's back on a pitch soon enough, but you didn't want the teams around you having good players, and he definitely stood out yesterday. Although I've seen him twice for Killie against Dundee, and he didn't stand out in either of them games. But maybe he was that was the game that he introduced himself. But yeah, he went off injured. I think United are going to win on Saturday. Yeah. I mean, Kilmarnock are absolutely shite.
We've said that already this season, mate.
I know that they've had a really good game against Celtic, and they beat St Mirren 4-3, mate. St Mirren have been absolutely shite for weeks now, and they beat Aberdeen 3 or 4-0, who are also shite against every other team apart from Dundee, and especially against the teams that Dundee need them to beat. But that's been Aberdeen for about 15 years. See when Dundee need them to beat a team, they get bit, and then they come to Dens or play us at Pittodrie and they give us a doing. Yeah. Now, as for Dundee against Aberdeen, I totally agree with you. See, looking from probably best from a neutral point of view, you're a slight neutral. You are a neutral, but you would probably want Aberdeen to win. You look at it and you think, yeah, absolutely Dundee have got a chance of winning that game. Aberdeen have been rubbish. They're not playing well at all. Dundee have been up and down. On their day, they could go there and win, no problem. And yeah, totally agree with that. But when you've been up there that many times, I think this is like my 19th trip to Pittodrie, and I've seen me draw like 3 times. Every other time I've seen me get bit. You begin to lose hope. Like, obviously we do the Futbology challenge. I was looking through it the other day. I think it was actually on the way back from Falkirk last midweek. That was my 6th trip to Falkirk Stadium, right? I've seen Dundee draw once and lose all the rest of them. My record at some stadiums in this country is absolutely shocking.
You should maybe stay away from this one,
Right,
then.
I'll go on it, right? Bear with me just a second. So, my top ground, other than Dens or Hampden, is Tannadice. I've seen Dundee win 3 times at Tannadice. Now, some of the games there aren't Dundee games, as we found out last week's Futbology challenge, so not all of them are Dundee derbies. McDermott's my 4th or 3rd highest after Hampden and Tannadice. The last 3 times I've been to McDermott, Dundee have won. Other than that, I've seen them win a Challenge Cup game in 1 game. So 5 games out of 20 I've seen Dundee win at McDermott Park. Pittodrie, 15th. This will be my 16th time. Never seen them win. I've been Easter Road 12 times. Like 2 of them were Scotland games. Never seen them win. I never even seen Scotland beat Canada when I went to Easter Road. And they only beat Qatar 1-0, the other game I've seen. Fir Park's different. I've seen them win plenty of times there. I've seen them win at Rugby Park plenty of times. St Mirren, Livingston. Tynecastle, 11 times. Once. I've seen them win once. Celtic Park, 9. 2 of them are Scotland games. Never seen them win. And then Ibrox, 7. 1 of them was a Scotland game. Never seen Dundee win. So my away record at some stadiums in this country is absolutely terrible. And when you have that sort of feeling, it's hard to get yourself into a mindset when you're going to that ground that you can be optimistic about it. Because what's there to be optimistic about when any time you've ever been in that stadium, the best thing I've seen Dundee do in that stadium was draw 0-0 to qualify for the top 6. And the only reason that they got it that day was because Hibs fucked it against Motherwell.
Yeah. Yeah, your record isn't great, mate. I think you should maybe call it quits.
You spin it right, and we've got Martin. If I was to take a rough guess on how many times Martin's watched United at Pittodrie, I'd probably say he's been there about 6 times maybe, and I guarantee he's seen United win there at least once.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So, there you go.
2-3 times maybe.
But then he'll have a ground where he's never seen United win, when I've seen Dundee win plenty.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's just one of them. But we've done our score predictions for each game. Now, after last week's 4-1 to Falkirk score, I didn't really trust you to predict anything. But for Aberdeen versus Dundee, I've went for 2-0 Aberdeen, and you've went for 2-1 Dundee, so there we go. As for the game at Tannadice, you went, following the theme, you've went 1-0 Killie, and I've actually went 2-1 United, so that's our 2 scores locked in for the most recent week on the score prediction challenge. Moving on, we'll briefly touch on the Nations League draw. Now, last week we touched on it as well. We spoke about who Scotland could potentially get out of each pot, should I say. They have drawn Switzerland, Slovenia, and North Macedonia. So, what's your thoughts on that one?
It's not a terrible group, mate. North Macedonia is definitely winnable. Slovenia is definitely winnable. Switzerland is winnable. It's obviously a tougher game, but it could have been a lot worse, I feel like.
Absolutely. I'm trying to think of who plays for each team. So obviously for Macedonia, we've got boys that are kind of local to here. So Trapanovsky would play for them. Bojan Mijovski. I don't know if
Babunski.
does he still play for them? How old is he?
Babunski's what, 33 maybe?
So there's every chance.
Yep.
I wonder if the boy that was at Leeds still plays for them. The boy, is it Alowiski, the kind of left back that played
Yeah,
for
yeah.
Leeds? So you've got them. For Slovenia, the Man United striker, he'll be there.
Sheshko.
And then the goalie that plays for Atletico Madrid,
Jan Oblak.
yeah, he'll be about, I'd imagine.
Mm-hmm.
And then for Switzerland, you've got Shaqiri, I'd imagine he'll still play for them.
Is Rodriguez still a player?
The left back,
Yeah.
yeah, some left foot he's got,
Yeah.
I'd assume that he'll probably still be around. But I've seen
Breland
Switzerland.
Bolo.
Yeah, Shaka.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen Switzerland at the Euros last year. I've never seen them at Hampden, or a couple of years ago now. And I thought Scotland played very well against them that day. Didn't get the credit and deserve for that result because of the other two games, but that's a rant for another day. But just a quick one before we move on, Jax. Given how good we are at country capitals, what's the three capitals they throw to those three countries?
Bern. That's hard. North Macedonia. Vardar, maybe?
Nope.
Oh, Skopje, sorry.
Yep.
And Slovakia.
Slovenia.
Slovenia is Ljubljana.
Correct.
Let's go.
Got the amend.
Anyway,
move on to, I think it's game week 29 of the Futbology Challenge. If not, it's 28. Let me just double check that because I don't like to be wrong. 28. Game week 28. So this week, as you could probably predict, Jack got a forfeit, so that's another 1-0 defeat. Jack has actually went below me in goal difference now, which after some of the results I had earlier in the season is very, very unbelievable. But minus 11 on goal difference you are now. As for me and Martin had two games. One of them was a 6-2 defeat from Celtic. He managed to dodge that, but it wasn't too much better. A game from Tuesday, February the 16th, 2016. It was Dundee United 0, Motherwell 3. The managers that day were Mixu Paatelainen and Mark McGee. Now, Jack and I were speaking briefly about this earlier, given who was in goal for United, and I did say to him that it does get worse. So, Jack, brace yourself. Starting 11 for United: Kawashima, Dillon, Dixon, Donaldson, Gunning, DeMel, Payton, Rankin, Spittle, Mackay and Murray. And on the bench, Zwick, Noyle, Durnan, Fraser, Oferi, Risky and Cinema Pong goal.
not great.
For Motherwell, they went with Ripley, Lang, Hall, McManus, Cadden, Lasley, McFadden, Gomez, Johnson, McDonald and Moult. And on the bench, Samson, Hamill, Ainsworth, Fletcher, Law, Leach and Thomas. The referee was Greg Aitken, and the subs, the scorer, should I say, was McManus 45, McDonald 72 and McDonald 80. Moving on to my game, the miracle was that it was a win in the Neil McCann/Jim McIntyre season. I did have two wins today, and this is the one I got. Saturday, February 16th, 2019, a crowd of 2,321 was at Almond Vale for Livingston 1, Dundee 2. The managers were Gary Holt and Jim McIntyre. For Livi, their team was Kelly, Lammy, Lithgow, Adolphin, Halkett, Gallagher, Byrne, Jacobs, Pittman, Robinson and Hardy. And on the bench, Stewart, Erskine, Lawson, Lawless, Brown, Wild and Sibbald. And for Dundee, Dieng, Horsfield, Kasunga, McGowan, Ralph Dales, Hedinus, Woods, Curran, Nelson and Wright. And on the bench, Parish, O'Dea, Curran, McGowan, O'Sullivan, Robson, Miller. And the referee was also Greg Aitken. Sean Byrne was sent off in the 14th minute, and the scorers were Halkett 18, Nelson 54 and Scott Wright on 83. So, that moves me up the table, not in terms of position, but within 2 points of Martin. So after 28 games played, Martin is on 34, I'm on 32, and Jack is on 19. So, What was your thoughts on that team, Jack?
Poor, mate. To be fair, mate, I don't think it's terrible. Some decent boys in there. Like, you've got Blair Spittle there. Paul Payton was there as well, I think he had as well, who was a decent professional for United. But you had boys like...
relegated.
Yeah, I know, mate.
But
like
Risky? I've never heard of him before.
Risky. Some Finnish boy was signed from... I think it might have been Helsinki. He barely played a game for us, to be honest. Cole Donaldson, absolutely hopeless. As many of the listeners will know, I do not have a soft spot for Cole Donaldson. So yeah, poor team, mate. Florence Single upon goal, Champions League finalist. Did he not win the Champions League as well?
Yeah, I think he played in the Champions League final.
Yeah,
he scored in the run.
Yeah, but
he scored in the Olympiacos game where Gerrard scored the goal in the last minute.
Couldn't get a game for the Puri, mate. So yeah.
By the time he was at United, he was fat and old.
Well, that's true. His legs were well gone at that point. Guy Demel, Premier League player for 12 years, and then joins us, gets relegated. Yeah.
And then he got sent off at Dens. There was a moment in that game at Dens where him and Gary Harkins were running alongside each other. There was like two lorries overtaking each other.
I don't know how he played in the Premier League for so long, mate. It must have been his legs must have gave way by the time he joined us.
Did he play a World Cup like a year before he signed for United?
Probably.
That's mental.
Yeah, I know. But Kawashima, mate, he played at what, 2 World Cups after he left us?
We certainly at the one in Russia, because I remember that the game where Japan moved 2-0 up with like 5-10 minutes to go against Belgium, and Belgium beat them 3-2. He was in the goal in that game.
He left us, signed for Metz in France, joined Strasbourg, played for them as well. I don't know how he managed it, because he was absolutely hopeless for us.
See, that's wild there. He was at United, because did he not? I know it take them like 2 months to get him registered.
Signed him in October, never played till January.
He played, his first game was at Dens, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That was when he came out and punched the ball in the air, and Kevin scored the equaliser.
Yeah.
United weren't great that season.
No, definitely not. Deserved to get relegated, to be honest.
That team was worse than the other team that got relegated under Goodwin and Liam Fox and whatever?
I would say more notorious, just for the fact that obviously it was the first time we'd been relegated in a long time, so I think if you look at the players in the team, I don't know actually. Yeah, I think that team's probably worse than the second team to get relegated.
It's better because the second team that got relegated beat AZ Alkmaar.
I know.
And got relegated the same season.
Yeah. To be fair, we deserved it. We were absolutely stinking. Although, saying that, if we had a different goalkeeper, I think we would have been fine. Yeah, but we had calamity hands in goal, so.
Our pal James, when he done who was it against? When he got tackled and the ball went in, and he rolled it injured and we got subbed off.
Oh, I can't mind.
Was it St Johnstone? I'm pretty sure it was Stevie May.
Maybe.
And our pal James was not happy about that. In the slightest.
No wonder. He's back in football, by the way.
Yeah, he retired, didn't he?
Yeah, he retired, but he signed for an Australian team.
Did he sign with the same team as Lee Griffiths?
Or maybe.
He's like Stirling Macedonia or something.
No, Birgit is in the A-League.
You're joking.
I'm no joking. I'm sure he is. I think he might be like Perth Glory or something. I'm almost certain he's at an A-League team.
That's absolutely wild. I'm going to look that up.
I'm looking it up right now, mate. Birgit. How do you spell his name?
Is it Birighitti?
Yeah, Perth Glory. There you go. He's at the Perth Glory. He's not played a game yet, but he's on the bench. That's crazy.
Yeah, the less said about that, the better.
Yeah.
You got any weekly wines, things that you've been bothering you this week?
No, nothing this week for me, mate.
Mine's is the SFA.
Oh, here we go. How come?
Because obviously, I don't know if I said this on the podcast last week, but I was successful in getting tickets for 2 World Cup games. I got tickets for the Morocco game and the Brazil game. And because of my points, I had to apply for the highest priced tickets. I've got no problem with that, right? There's boys who are on far more points than me, go home and away all the time, never miss a match. They are entitled to the cheapest tickets, in my opinion, so I've got absolutely no issue with that. But I was $1,300 for 2 games of football, and then less than a week later, the Nations League draw happens, and then a week after, so my money for the World Cup tickets came out a week past today. So today at 10 o'clock in the morning, the SFA bring out the 5 game season ticket for the 5 games in the calendar year this year. So you got the Japan friendly in March, Curacao in June, and then the 3 Nations League games in the autumn. Why can't they just have waited until next month? The new people were paying for these World Cup tickets. It was £200. So obviously because it was $1,300, it come to about 900 and I think it was something like £85 or something when you do the conversion. It should have been cheaper, but I had to pay a 26 quid conversion fee. And then I could have been £175 today if it went for the East or West stands, we in the North stand. So it's £200 for that. So in the past 7 days, I've paid over £1,000 for 7 games of football.
That's wild.
And the SFA know that. So why can't they just have waited until the end of the month? Now I know that gives them less time to sell tickets for the Japan game, which is next month. But that's not until right at the end of the month. You're not telling me that they couldn't have waited that and then sold them through the month of March.
Yeah, but they obviously want the money now, do they?
And my other weekly wine is potholes.
Oh, there's loads of them.
No
By the way, I was in Dundee, obviously for this party, right? And around my stepmom's bit, it's horrendous. The potholes are shocking.
Yep.
And so she spoke to the head boy for the potholes or something, and basically the boy was saying that the potholes are get filled based on how bad they are. So if you have 2 potholes next to each other, one's rated at A and one's rated at D, they'll fill one but not the other. That's what he told her.
But you don't think that they make it worse when they fill them?
Yeah, probably.
Because one of 2 things is typically what happens. They'll fill it, and it'll get too high, so it'll cause a bump, which isn't any much better. Or they'll fill it, and within a few weeks, all the stuff they filled it with is gone, and the pothole reappears again.
It's because they'll fill it with just some like instant fix stuff, probably.
Yeah,
it just doesn't last. Yeah.
There was a guy on Facebook down in England somewhere, I think it was. I'm pretty sure it was in England, and he was going around his local community and painting cocks.
It works, by the way.
Spray painting cocks around the potholes, and they had to either clean them or fill them in, and they filled them in.
Yeah. I think we should do that here.
I'm not advocating for anybody to commit a crime, by the way, but something like that has got to happen for our council to take notice.
True.
Anyway, this is a football podcast. And we're no open goal or pet peeves. I just had something that I wanted to get off my chest in terms of the SFA. But yeah, thanks very much for listening, as always, to everybody. We have social media, which I regularly remind you about. On Twitter, we are at Sandeman ST Pod. That is at Sandeman ST Pod. On Instagram, all lowercase, we are at The Sandeman Street Pod. And on YouTube, we are at The Sandeman Street Podcast. So if you could find us on them, subscribe or follow the page, share the videos, put them on your story, tell your pals about it. That would be absolutely fantastic. And as I always say, it would be much appreciated. So thank you for that if you do choose to do that. That is the end of episode 33. We'll see you all next week, where hopefully we have broken our pataudry duct and United have finally beaten Killie. So thanks very much for listening. Bye for now.